Questions have been raised about the safety of flats in some timber-framed buildings after a fire last month on a new development in Worcester Park. Residents say it spread in minutes. A BBC London investigation has uncovered alleged faults with the measures designed to stop fire spreading on the estate. The developer says all the properties were independently signed off, but some people are still concerned their blocks are at risk and should be evacuated. Here's Gareth Furby.
This is all that's left of a block of 23 flats destroyed on a development that was only completed 9 years ago. Stephen says he had just minutes to escape with his family, including his youngest, Leo.
The way it spread, it was instant. It was like paper. It moved from the front of the building straight to the back within 5 minutes. You would expect that the materials used would contain a fire. It just didn't happen.
Well, now on this development in Worcester Park, southwest London, there are fire wardens patrolling 24 hours a day, ready to evacuate the blocks should they spot any sign of fire. Some residents are fearful, including this woman, who's asked not to be identified.
We are worried about how our homes are built. Are they safe? We want to be told if they could go up, because if that's true, we want to be evacuated.
This estate is largely built out of timber frames, so to slow down the spread of fire, the walls and floors between flats should be packed with a material that doesn't burn. But are they? On some of the buildings there are now patches where the structure may have been looked at. One concerned resident asked an independent chartered surveyor and fire safety expert to take a look inside.
That just won't work. What we have here is a form of fire stopping which just won't do its job. The fire stopping should be much deeper and it should come out almost to the edge of the cladding on the outside. The gap is far too wide for the material to expand into. In simple terms, there's a large gap, they haven't filled it, all they've built is a large chimney through which a fire will spread.
We showed the photographs to another expert who agreed there is a problem.
There's a gap there that's only partially filled, the fire will just bypass it.
So before this fire, did the developer know of any issues on this estate? This woman claims she warned them 9 years ago about a problem with a house she'd bought.
We have found that our home did not meet basic fire safety requirements, holes basically between you and your neighbour's property. It basically meant that if my neighbour had a fire, then we wouldn't have the required 60-minute firewall to be able to get out. The question that needs to be asked, has there been any other examples where Berkeley home buildings have burnt down?
2 years ago there was a fire at another Berkeley Group development, the Holborough Lakes estate in Kent. And again it spread in a block of flats built largely out of timber frames. This resident, who asked us not to identify him, lives in a similar block on this estate and watched that fire spread.
One moment it was just a small fire, you blink and the building was gone.
He invited the chartered surveyor to check the fire safety of this property, and again the verdict wasn't good.
There is no fire stopping in the eaves, it's just an open gap. I can see right through next door. You've got an immediate fire path.
He also spotted some foam in use that he said was not fire resistant, and to prove the point removed a small sample and then tested it outside.
There needs to be a full investigation of these properties.
I want safety measures put in and it all to be sorted.
We put all these points to the Berkeley Group, which issued a statement saying all properties were independently signed off as building control compliant. The police and the fire brigade are still investigating the cause of the fire in Worcester Park, which remains unknown. In the meantime, we are making all necessary checks to reassure residents. The organisations which signed off building control say responsibility for compliance lies with the person carrying out the works. The Housing Association, which rents out some properties in the Worcester Park blocks, says the fire watch is in place as a precaution and smoke alarms have also been fitted. The developer, it says, has commissioned in-depth surveys of the buildings. Gareth Furby, BBC London News.